Are we there yet? We're almost there. Perhaps what could be the most anticipated and greatest weekend in football in the Garden City, at least in my on and off almost 30 years living here. It's almost here. You don't want to chase it, though, because once it's over, man, we're going to miss it so much. Nuanez now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport boasts the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. You can see that entire inventory online at nwmsrocks.com. Ton to get to in the show today. Get things started off. My good friend Sean Rainey. A lot of times he swings by on Wednesdays. Instead, we recorded Tuesday to bring it to you here on your Thursday. All things rivalry game and a little high school football talk as well. For those that haven't been paying attention, it is state championship weekend. Pretty much all the games in western Montana, including the Bobcats at the Grizzlies, number 3 Montana State at number 7 Montana, with a whole bunch on the line. Greatest rivalry in the West here in Missoula, high noon, Washington Grizzly Stadium. But also, Billings West playing at Missoula Sentinel. That's the top 2 ranked teams in Class AA. First state championship game here in the Garden City since 1994. Florence will host the Class B state championship game. Big Fork's coming down from up in the Flathead Valley to take on the undefeated Falcons. Hamilton remains undefeated. They're in the Class A title game. They play defending state champion Laurel in Laurel. Then the Class C 8-man game that features the Flint Creek Trojans at Thompson Falls. So a lot of great football action here in the western part of the state of Montana. Today's show, Sean Rainey, and then, of course, Billings West head coach Rob Stanton will swing by. Second time this month that Coach Stanton's given us some time, so appreciate that. We also have a 6-pack and a sandwich from Warden's Market, so stay tuned for that. How do you get a hold of us? 888-1029. That's 406-888-1029. About 4:45. We got a chance for you to get a 6-pack and a sandwich from Warden's Market. We're also going to talk a little NBA because that's gotten a little overshadowed with all this football, but the NBA is rolling along, and the return of the king expected in Los Angeles sometime sooner than later. Is it too late for the Lakers? I heard them tease that on National Talk Radio today, so I'm just mimicking them now. I have no idea if it's too late for the Lakers. I have hardly paid attention to the NBA. That's how busy we've been with football, because if you know me and you know this show, you know I love the NBA. Hour number 2, my good friend Carolyn's going to swing by. She has some questions about the rivalry game between Montana State and Montana, and so it'll be our Cat Grizz version of the Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports. And then about 5:30, we'll bring in our producer, my good friend Andrew Houghton, talk a little Cat Grizz, and also hear a couple of the best sound bites from Bobby Houck from earlier this week. It's our Houck highlights. Usually I catch Coach Houck before practice on Wednesdays, but no media availability other than the Monday press conference. We do have a couple pieces of sound that will lead us to some inspiring and enlightening conversations about the rivalry. You got 2 days left to enter our fall giveaway. I was looking at the Traeger right before I walked in here. We got Traeger Smoker. We got so much Alpine Touch, it's flowing out of the conference room right now. And you're going to get a beef box from Haymaker Beef. That's one prize. We also got a grill and an Otter box, courtesy of Twisted Tea. To be entered in the giveaway, it's easy. You got your phone in your hand right now. Subscribe to the Nuanez Now podcast. Boom, hit subscribe. Got that done? Go to YouTube. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Nuanez Now is Nuanez. Search for those on your podcast and YouTube platforms. Just hit subscribe. Then go on Instagram. Follow ESPN Missoula, Alpine Touch, and Haymaker Beef. That's all you got to do. And then text us, 406-888-1029. That's 406-888-1029. Said, hey, I followed you. I subscribed. I'm all set up. And that'll get you entered. And then once we have all of our entries, we'll draw 2. Randomized numbers system. We got one that Tommy got all set up. It's pretty slick, pretty fancy. But be sure to keep those entries coming. I'm going to keep reminding you until tomorrow. I want that prize, so you guys better figure out a way to win that prize. But usually we have our friend hangout debriefing playing for you on a Wednesday, but we're coming to you now from the SWX Montana studios on Tuesday still, but we're playing this on a Thursday. My good friend Sean Rady, the sports director at SWX Montana, joining me. And everybody gets so bent out of shape on which order you say the game in, so I'm not saying any of that this year. I'm calling this state championship week because it is state championship week at all levels of football, including at the collegiate level. That way we can't get in any trouble because I'm so tired of people saying, well, you say Grizz Cat, you go for the Grizz. You say Cat Grizz, you go for the Cats. I'm not going for either of them. But this is a fun time of year, man, and welcome in. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a lot going on. We had to figure out how we're going to attack all of Saturday because, we got state championship in Florence. We got one in Thompson Falls. We got Hamilton's playing over in Laurel. It's just we got a lot going on.
Of course, with the one on Friday night here in Missoula, too, featuring Missoula Sentinel and Billings West, a rematch of last year's state championship game as well. I was thinking about that earlier today. I was thinking how covering high school sports is awesome. We both love it. Covering state championship high school sports is the best. That's so great, and it's the raw emotion that follows after those games. But I was thinking how it is sort of unfortunate that the rivalry game at the college level and then the state championship games overlap, because I'm sure you're probably sending some reporters from SWX Montana out to cover these games on Saturday, and they're feeling left out that they're not getting to the Cat Grizz game. But it's that's all this stuff is so fun to cover. I think it's unfortunate that sometimes Class A and Class B have to share the spotlight with the Bobcat Grizzly game.
Well, think about all the Cats and Grizz fans too that are a part that play football or are parents of kids on the teams. We got to figure this out. Just play it at the same location or all the games at the opposite location, but having them all spread out on the same day, it sucks. Me personally, I feel like you could play the Class B state title game at noon on Friday at the location. So if we go Washington Grizzly at noon, Florence Big Fork. At 3:30 we're going Class A, and at 7:30 we're going Class AA. And then in the morning, you play the two Class C school games, and then just have Cat Grizz kick off at 3, and boom, you're good.
This is a great idea. Washington, in the state of Washington, they do all the tournaments, or all the championships, at the Tacoma Dome. So it is really cool, too. It's so good for the kids, too, because all the media exposure, because then everybody gets a chance to see what's going on. Everybody can follow everything. So I agree. I think that we need to figure out something, but it is a little bit more manageable this week because they're all sort of close by, at least. So before we get into the college rivalry, pretty sweet that Missoula Sentinel's hosting this game. There's only been one state championship game hosted in Missoula since I moved to Missoula when I was a little kid. I was your kid's age when I moved here, and there's only been one. I've never been to a state championship game in Missoula, so this is pretty cool with Billings West coming to town Friday night.
Yeah, and it's almost just meant to be with Sentinel and West. It was a collision course last year for the state title game, and then it's just such an epic game in week one where it was just back and forth in the second half, and it was just crazy. And it's by far, the two best teams in the state, and the fact that they get to play again, and this time in Missoula, is just awesome. It's going to be an incredible night. We're going to be just kind of doing all of our sports live, from there, and then that game will wrap up, and about 5-6 hours after that, we'll be live bright and early in the morning from Washington Grizzly Stadium, getting ready for Brawl the Wild. So it's not going to be a lot of sleep this weekend, but it's we can sleep when the season's over.
That's exactly right. This is what we live for, and will be very fun with all those high school games coming up. Again, Missoula Sentinel hosts Billings West on Friday night, and then Florence hosts Big Fork Saturday afternoon. Hamilton plays in Laurel on Saturday afternoon, and Flint Creek, that's the Drummond-Phillipsburg co-op, they head over to Thompson Falls Saturday afternoon. The 6-man game, Freud Lake at Power Dutton Brady, is that right?
Yep, so we'll be covering that game as well. Our man Elijah Collins up in Great Falls will be covering that one, so we'll have them all covered for sure.
Well, you can find all that stuff, SWX Montana. We'll have all the recaps on Nuanez now next Monday as well, so very much look forward to that. All right, let's talk about this one. The 120th rendition of Montana State and Montana in Missoula. Bobcats on a 4-game winning streak. Cats have won 6 out of the last 10. Since the streak ended in 2002, it's 9-9, so this is basically pretty much even. This is for bragging rights of the century, basically, on Saturday. And it's for bragging rights across the board, all the way across the board, as it is each and every year. But got the number 3 Bobcats coming to Missoula to play the number 7 Grizzlies. I was thinking about this. I was looking at the rankings of the 2019 game. If you remember that game, not just the result, but the pre-game, Montana was ranked number 3 that week, and Montana State was ranked number 8. So basically a flipping of that script almost identically. Montana was also coming off of an incredibly impressive win over Weber State, where Montana State had sort of struggled and then taken care of a couple pretty easy opponents in Southern Utah and Northern Colorado in the weeks before the Bobcat Grizz game. But I think that the parallels kind of end there only because it's been years since we've seen one of these things. So we'll get to some of the key matchups, but what do you think of just this game overall? And is there one side or the other this is bigger for?
Oh, it's definitely bigger for Montana.
They got to snap the streak, right?
Yeah, it's not even close. And
but particularly also because the Cats already have 9 wins. Like, the Cats are a playoff seed no matter what happens. Yeah. It's not that this isn't a big game, but it's the difference between probably the 2 seed and like the 7 seed for the Cats, whereas this is the difference between a seed and not a seed probably for the Grizz.
Yeah, Montana's got to be kicking themselves because, I mean, I think if Cam Humphrey plays in the Sac State game, they win that one. And you have a chance if Cole Grossman comes down with the catch at Eastern. Like, if you win one of those games, you're sitting pretty. And everything is, there's not as much pressure going into this one. But obviously with the streak, it just, year after year, it just amplifies the pressure, right? Because everybody, it's been just so long now, and Grizz fans need that win. It's the Champion Center has that little location that has the spot for the Continental Divide Trophy, and it's just been sitting there. Yeah. And so, obviously, that's the pressure there. I think it's fascinating from like the non-X's and O's, just like the motivational edge. Like, whenever you're trying to like handicap a game and you're trying to use all of the other external things, like, does like motivationally you'd be like, oh, well, the Grizz haven't won in so long and they're at home. Like, they're going to come out the more desperate team. They're going to be, fighting harder to get it, which is true. But then also, like, because of the streak, like, the pressure is mounting. And so I think it's
because of a new head coach too.
Yeah. And so, like, I just think, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. And I think it all depends on the momentum shifts in the game and how I think the narrative, like, I think if Montana State starts imposing their will a little bit in the run game, I think a lot of doubt is going to start creeping into the Montana sideline, the stands, and it's going to get, you're going to start thinking of a couple of years ago, and it's really that the pressure is going to really shift. But I think if Montana's able to come out and play well early, I think that hunger for ending the streak, for getting the trophy to Missoula, I think that's only going to add to the fire of the momentum. So I think we talk about momentum a lot in these games, and you kind of mentioned it when you came on our TV show. I think if the Grizz can use momentum in this game, it's going to be a massive key in this ballgame.
I think that's true. I think that the main motivation, Sean Rainey, SWX Montana Television, joining us here on Nuanez now on both ESPN Radio and on SWX, courtesy of these guys. Thanks so much for taking us around the state each and every weekday. The fact is that's why the streaks, when they reach more than 3 games, become so paramount because of the legacies of the guys. The guys on Montana, if they can get a win, they can say we didn't go 0-for against the Bobcats. That's huge compared to going 0-for. Yeah. It's the same thing for the Cats guys, though. Like Braden Conkle, former Montana State safety, he was all over Twitter this week saying, hey, I got it in my back pocket because I never lost to the Grizz. I can say whatever I want this week because I got all the bragging rights. And that's what Troy Anderson and guys like Lewis Kidd and Taylor Tuiasosopo and some of these Cat seniors have on the line as well. But I think that you're right. I think that if the Grizz can harness the momentum, that's a big-time factor in this game because they play such a momentum-based style of football. On the flip side, though, I totally agree with you. This is a bigger game for the Grizz only because of the way that it's gone the last couple of years. And, you bring Bobby Houck back in. One of the main reasons you do that is to stop losing in-state in any form or fashion. I'm going to have a story this week. Actually, by the time you're listening to this, it'll be up on Skyline Sports. I always break down all the Montana guys on both rosters. There's 91 Montana guys that are going to play in this game, and 53 of those are from Montana, or on the Grizzlies. That's a huge improvement. When Coach Houck, improvement isn't the right word because I'm not saying the guys from Montana are better, but it's certainly a much higher number. When Bobby Houck first took over, there was only 29 guys on the squad from Montana. So he's definitely put a high priority on that, for better or worse, whatever you think of that. But it certainly is a factor. But make no mistake, Montana State was chasing Montana for so long that this game became the most important thing to so many people that follow Bobcat football. I think that that's changed a little bit because they're certainly into the playoffs for the 7th time since 2010, win, lose, or draw on Saturday. So they've fully affirmed themselves as a true national power. They were always good, but now they're a true national power, one of the best programs in the country for sure. So that maybe narrative has dissipated a little bit. That said, Jeff Choate was one of the most popular Bobcat coaches of all time. Jeff Choate went 29-25 at Montana State. Jeff Choate had a couple losing records in a row at Montana State, but Jeff Choate was able to overshadow every single possible element and every single possible flaw in his program because he won 4 straight Bobcat Grizzly games in resounding fashion by running the ball straight down the Grizz throats, something that Grizz people were not accustomed to seeing. So then, therefore, I do think for the broad ramifications after this game, in the moment, it's definitely bigger for the Grizz. Broadly, though, I think it's a toss-up, if not bigger for the Cats, because if Bobby Houck just wastes Sprint Vegan on Saturday, Bobcat Nation is going to go crazy. And it could give them so much weird narrative, so many weird storylines going into the playoffs, and people might be just freaking out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I kind of hadn't thought about it from that perspective. But it is weird how narratives and things change because, I mean, since I've gotten into my role as sports director here, like, the Grizz haven't won. Like, since Riley Corcoran became the voice of the Grizz, like, the Grizz have not won one of these things.
My nephew Ellis is 5 years old. He's never seen the Grizzlies win against the Bobcats. I asked him last night. He's 5 years old. I said, you know what this week is? He goes, Montana State and Montana are playing. I said, who's going to win? He goes, Bobcats, duh. The Grizzlies have never won. Yeah. In his mind, that's true. They never have won in his life.
And, like, our anchor, Ben Wyman, like, when I asked him, like, about the season, he's like, well, as long as they beat the Cats, that's the only thing that matters. That was kind of the thing that all Montana State fans used to be saying over the years, and now you're getting Grizz fans saying that. When before, like, that was never like, oh, you just have to beat the Cats, and then that's the only thing that matters. Like, the Grizz were worried about national titles and just assumed, or like would not really worry about the Cat game all that much because they just thought that they would win. So that the fact that, like, Grizz fans are now saying, as long as we beat the Cats, like, that shows well done Montana State for kind of switching the narrative the last few years as far as that goes.
Well, there's also just the overall broad scope of this in terms of institutional momentum, and Montana State has so much momentum right now as an institution. One of the things that could impact that positively on the Grizz side of things is if they can get a win. So I do think that there's a lot on the line for this game, to be sure. On both sides. Let's talk about a couple of the key matchups in this game. I think we have 2 of the best defenses in the country in this game. I think we have a couple teams that it's very interesting to me because the narrative of the Grizz season for pretty much the last 2 months has been injuries. But then Montana State had a whole bunch of them on Saturday, so now that playing field's almost even as well.
I do want to say one more thing before we get into the matchups. For us, that we cover both these universities so closely, so we know all the coaches, we know the staffs, we know the university. What makes this rivalry so great is how big of a game this is. It does kind of suck that, like, one side ends up feeling, like, so deflated and it's so negative, and it's just so, like, doom and gloom. It's like it's almost like it's unfortunate that, like, one side is just left, like, completely in shambles almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's because we see it directly, you know, you almost, like, I feel bad for whoever, like, I used to just, my narrative has, like, shifted as far as, like, just covering this, and you almost, like, feel bad for whoever loses on that side because it is so, like, it's just such a big deal. But
it is for sure, but also then I've seen this. I think that it's very easy when you win this game and you're going to go to the playoffs to then use that as momentum, but it's also a challenge to not have a letdown from this game coming into the playoffs. But then on the other side, if you lose it, I think that that's one of the key factors is just erasing it if you lose it, if you are a playoff team. Montana did that so well in 2019. They came out and hung 73 on Southeast Louisiana and got a rematch against Weber in the semifinals, or excuse me, the quarterfinals. But that's the other thing about this one is that I have said since last spring that I think that these are 2 of the 4 best teams in the country. I still think that. I still think that they have as much of a chance to make a run at national championship as anybody in the United States of America at the FCS level. And I think that no matter who wins this game on Saturday, I still think that's true.
I would agree. I think the Grizz need it more to make a run, though, because they are a little bit banged up. I mean, so is Montana State, as you just mentioned. But I think the Grizz could really use a bye week. And I think, like you said, Montana State's probably going to get a bye regardless of the game. So, but going into that matchups and stuff, people have been asking me all week, as I'm sure they've been asking you, like, who's going to win? What's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I really do think if we knew an exact percentage of health for, like, Isaiah Ifanse, I mean, I do think that he is such a good player and he dictates so much of what they're able to do that I would almost have to know his exact percentage of health to give you, like, a full prediction on the game. Like, if he's 100%, they're going to be able to run their offense, and I think they'll be able to, like, have some success on the ground and things like that. But if he's out, that obviously completely changes the game, and if he's limited, that completely changes the game. So how he looks in warm-ups is going to be very fascinating. I'm always on the field kind of checking that stuff out, and I'm going to have a keen eye on how 22 looks in warm-ups because that's going to be pretty interesting. I also wouldn't be surprised if he's out or very limited, that we might not see maybe 15 run the ball a few times. You never know.
Yeah, maybe Troy Anderson could get some carries. The thing about the Cats, I think that Ifanse is going to be good to go. I shouldn't say good to go, but I think he will play. But it's the guys after him, too, though, because he's not going to be able to take a 30-carry load like he had against Eastern Washington or Portland State this year, I don't think. They're going to have somebody to spell him.
So if he's good to go or playing, so he got nicked up and then was in street clothes for the second half, like as a precaution, but in a close game, in a game that could decide a Big Sky Conference championship. That part of it to me is like, because people are like saying like, yeah, I expect him to be fine. In most scenarios, like if a guy comes out in street clothes, that means that he's out for a little while. It's just, that is so fascinating to me, the dynamic of the conversation of like, oh man, we're in a dogfight right now. Yeah. We need to win to ensure ourselves a Big Sky title. But next week is so important that just we're gonna run the roll the dice and risk not playing the second half.
Well, here's the way it went down specifically in Bozeman, because I've actually thought about this a lot. Ifanse's been struggling with some sort of lower leg thing. I think it's like an ankle something, whatever.
He runs so dang hard that he's gonna get bruised up a little bit.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Somebody was asking me how close is he to 100%. And I said, well, he's not close to 100%. The guy has had like 250 carries this year. He's not even 75%, but him at 75%, one of the best in the country still. But he got tweaked late in the first half, and then I think they decided to shut him down. But then Idaho scored right before halftime, and then on the very last play of the first half, TJ Session, the right tackle, went down with a bad injury. And then right out the gate in the second half, Matt McKay gets smacked. Tommy Malott comes in. Then Elijah Elliott gets taken out of the game. So I don't think they expected it to be a dogfight. I think that they wouldn't have shut down Ifanse at that moment if they knew Elliott was going to go out and Session was going to go out. But then those guys went out. But Ifanse is already in street clothes, so they can't say, hey, go get your clothes back on. And they tried to just figure out a way to win it. And I think, I don't know, I think that they were mitigating him to a certain extent. But I don't know if they would have managed it that way if they would have known what was going to happen.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I guess my question then to you is, how different does Montana approach this game as far as looking back at the 2019 film and maybe changing up like how aggressive they are or what they do defensively to avoid getting killed with gap scheme and all that kind of stuff?
Well, that's the thing is the Montana State runs less gap scheme than they did under Jeff Choate. That is an advantage for Montana because the scheme Montana State was running was absolutely the kryptonite of the Grizz defense. I mean, you see it as evidence in 350 yards rushing like the last 4 rivalry games. But also, because TJ Session is out, I highly doubt they're going to let Rush Reimer make his very first career start in Washington Grizzly at right tackle. Maybe they do. He's listed as number 1 on the depth chart. Maybe they do. But Session's been out earlier this year as well, and they went with Taylor Tuiasosopo at right tackle, That's their best 5 if they can then put Joey McElroy from Missoula Oil in there at guard or Cole Sane, former Grizz. That's how they get to their best 5. But not having Lewis Kidd and Taylor Tuiasosopo at guard, instead having them at tackle, that mitigates a lot of the advantages they have against the Grizz defense because the pulling guards and the delays, the counters, the stuff that Montana State was doing where they use patience to take advantage of the aggressiveness of the Grizz D, I think a lot of that stuff goes away with the reshuffling of the offensive line. But I do think this is the matchup we've been talking about all week here on Nuanez Now, and I think it is the matchup in the game.
I always thought like and we don't know the health status of like Eli Alford, but like the Grizz have been running, pretty much him and Gubner just rotating throughout the whole year. Like, what if they just came out with 2 defensive tackles?
Right.
and gave them like a completely new look, even just like for like the first drive or something, just to like, I don't think they would ever do that, because I think in college a lot of times you more run what you run, and it's harder to kind of like get out of your system. But what if they just took out an extra safety and threw in an extra defensive tackle and just went beefy up front? Like I'm just curious, like why teams like don't do that more, or like why, just to even give them another look, and then if it doesn't work, you can just get back into like what you were doing, you know?
It is a good point. There's a lot of adjustments to be made. The other thing I think it will make the Grizz defense operate a little bit better against this Bobcat offense. Let's just say everybody's healthy. If both are at full strength, and I know that a lot of people that follow the Grizz and follow Big Sky football will think that this is crazy for me to say, and this is not a shot at anybody. I just think that the linebackers at Montana this year are a lot more ready for this game than the ones in the past. And I know Dante Olson was the Buck Buchanan Award winner, but I just don't think that Jace Lewis is going to go out without playing one of his best games. I think he wants it that bad. I think Patrick O'Connell wants it that bad. As corny and as cliche as it sounds, I think the fact that those guys are all from Montana makes a huge difference, man.
They also O'Connell and Lewis, not that Dante Olson didn't play like really hard, because that guy played, he gave 100% effort on every play. But like O'Connell and Lewis, dude, they just like, they go all out. Like they play so hard, they play so fast, and they have that edge about them. And Marcus Wellnell's obviously been playing really well as well. I think, too, one of the other bigger differences in this game is I think they're a lot stronger at corner. Not only in coverage, but these corners can tackle a lot better than the corners from 2019. I was going over and like watching some highlights of that game, and there's like a couple pitches where they pitched it to Logan Jones, like in the corner,
right?
And who's the kid that was a wide receiver and then he switched to corner for Montana. They had Darian Nash.
And Justin Calhoun.
And they pitched it, and the wide receiver that was blocking him just completely threw him out of the picture, and Logan Jones kind of walks in on the pitch for a touchdown. Like, Justin Ford ain't going to be shoved out of bounds on that block. Like, he's going to shed the block and likely make a tackle. Like, I think that is a major difference from this Montana defense. Not the interceptions, but the physicality that Omar Hicks-Anu and Justin Ford kind of bring as corners.
Sean Rainey, SWX Montana Television. We talk about this forever. We're out of time for today. We'll have a recap of all this next week, so keep it here. Nuanez now. Thanks so much for being here, man.
Appreciate it.
Transitioning to high school. Billings West has not lost since they last lost to open the season in Missoula at Washington Grizzly Stadium. Their last two losses to the Spartans. Last year's state championship game, the first game of this year. The Golden Bears have been red hot since then. They are the most talented team in Class AA, but are they a team of destiny? Can they knock off the defending state champion Spartans? Rob Stanton, Billings West head coach, will join us next here on Nuanez Now. Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now. I'm here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. And Brent, you guys have been the official realtors of Grizz Athletics for quite some time. What most do you like about supporting the Grizz in Missoula?
Born and raised here in Missoula. I grew up 2 blocks off campus. A lot of us Montana kids were growing up on weekends in the fall. You're out in the woods hunting. I was sitting in Dorm Blazer and then Washington Grizzly Stadium watching the Grizz. I grew up with Grizz in my blood. It's just a wonderful part of our community and happy to be a part of it.
Give the Wahlberg team a call today, 529-4663.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, introducing the new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe on the road this winter, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything.
Mom, hey Mom.
Well, almost anything. Plus, save up to $130 when you buy Quatrack tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community, and they want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. When it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at StockmanBank.com. Then add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Like most Montanans, we love a good steak. And because we're the Montana Club, we take the steaks we serve very seriously. We're confident to say that our custom grilled steaks are as good a steak as you're going to get. Now we're proud to add regularly sourced, naturally raised Castle Rock bison ribeye to our selection. And remember, the Montana Club steak entrees include the sides. Come into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled steak experience. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Do you want to see behind enemy lines? Do you want the scoop from the other side of the clash each week leading up to Saturday's showdowns for the Grizzlies and the Bobcats? Then be sure to tune in to Nuanez Now each Thursday and Friday to hear the coaches who lead the opponents each week for Montana and Montana State. Myself, Colter Nuanez, will provide weekly in-depth interviews with the men leading whoever the Grizzlies and the Bobcats play each weekend, so be sure to tune in for all the info you desire. The opposing coach interview series is proudly presented by Mike Nugent and Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The collection of local standout football players gave pledges to both the Bobcats and the Grizzlies. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. The most recent commitment came earlier this week as Laurel senior Bo Dantic gave his promise to Montana head coach Bobby Hauck. Dantic, who's rushed for nearly 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns this season, has helped the locomotives reach the chipper for the second year in a row. Dantic is one of 11 known commitments for the upcoming recruiting class, including Hellgate wide receiver Ian Finch and Helena wideout Chase McGurran. Over the last 3 seasons, the 6'3 Finch caught 162 passes for 2,741 yards and 28 scores. The 6-foot McGurran caught 58 passes for 829 yards and 10 touchdowns this season. The other in-state commits for the Grizz include Helena quarterback Caden Hewitt and Helena linebacker Marcus Evans, Hamilton athlete Tyson Rostad, Jefferson athlete Joey Visser, Missoula Sentinel athlete Zach Cruz, and Kalispell Glacier kicker Patrick Rohrbach. Missoula Hellgate lineman Tommy Nielsen gave his commitment to Montana State earlier this month. He joins other Bobcat in-state commits, including Gallatin tight end Rylan Schlepp, Red Lodge lineman Burke Mastel, Florence lineman Ethan Abbott, Billings West twins Caden and Taco Dowler, and Jake Deegan, the son of head coach Brent Deegan. The Bobcats play the Grizzlies for the 120th time on the football field, high noon. Watch the Grizzly Stadium on Saturday.
This 102.9 ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
Sweet surrender. You remember we used to run and hide in the shadow of the cargoes. I take you one time. We're counting all the numbers down to the waterline.
What up? Welcome back. A little Dire Straits for you on your Thursday. Hope you're having a great day and a great week. One of the best weeks of the year. State championship weekend this weekend. Yeah, state championship at the college level. Montana State at Montana, the 120th edition. Got a state championship game in Missoula for the first time since I was like 7 years old. Missoula Sentinel hosts Billings West. Also got a state championship game in Saturday out in Florence as the Falcons host Big Fork. And the other state championship games include Hamilton traveling to Laurel on Saturday afternoon and Thompson Falls hosting Flint Creek. We have a couple of days left of our Big Fall giveaway. We got all sorts of stuff for you. We've told you a million times. Traeger Smoker, Alpine Touch, Haymaker Beef. We got a bunch of, we got a grill and an OtterBox from Twisted Tea. All you got to do is subscribe to the Nuanez Now podcast and YouTube channel, and then follow those entities on Instagram, Alpine Touch, Haymaker Beef, and ESPN Missoula. Once you do that, text us, 888-1029. That's 888-1029, 406 888-1029. Tell us you've entered. We're going to draw for all that stuff later on this week. So keep those entries flowing in.
U.S. head coach Rob Stanton. And, Coach, thanks so much for being with us, man. How's the week going? Congratulations on yet another state championship game appearance.
Yeah, thank you, Colter. It's been an exciting week, and we had a little bit of a win yesterday, so I think everybody did across the state, and practices have been going well, and for the most part this time of year we're pretty healthy, and by the time we got out to practice yesterday and we went under the lights of day, it kind of died down a little bit so we could get something done. So we're excited for for the opportunity to play again this weekend, and we're just fortunate to be in this spot.
Well, you guys have been here before, and I know that this group, especially the guys that are seniors, have been here several times. Does that help you as you make your trip to Missoula?
It does, and I'm in communication with those guys, obviously, and I think it helps quite a bit. They've been they're freshmen. They didn't play in the state championship. They're on the sideline, and they can still remember plays from it. So they're a bunch of football junkies, and I think it makes it a whole lot easier. They've been here. They've had a lot of experience with it. So they the cliche of a business trip. That's what they're kind of taking it as. And but I think it helped us a lot, just the experience of playing varsity football, and also a lot of playoff football too.
Well, the fact is that this is a rematch of last year's state championship game. We had Taco Dowler on the show earlier this week, and he did a tremendous job. What an awesome young guy. But the fact is that these two teams have seen each other multiple times in the last couple of years. So how does that add to the matchup, just the familiarity you guys have with Sentinel?
Yeah, I mean, I think we match up very well, and they've beaten us the last two times. So they've gotten after us, and the state championship game last year, they beat us in the first game this year. So they beat us. So there's no revenge or panic or anything like that. But it's just we're very familiar with them, and they are with us, and we have a lot of good coaches on both sides that work their tails off and put in a lot of time, and you have a lot of kids that do the same thing. So being familiar could be also kind of a curse. So you may expect some things, or you may think that they're going to do some things. So sometimes coaches, we can outthink ourselves. So we have to make sure we don't do that, and just let the kids play, let the kids have fun, and let the kids relax.
Rob Stanton joining us, Billy's West head coach. His team makes the trip to Missoula, take on Missoula Sentinel Friday night at Missoula County Public Stadium. Coach, we see it at all levels of football. When a team falls just short, but then they return a core of guys, oftentimes that can be the best thing that ever happened to a group. Sometimes those expectations and that pressure can be a terrible thing that weighs down on teams, but your team absolutely has embraced it. Could you feel that in the guys early on, and what have you thought of just their ability to navigate? I know you expected and wanted to be back here, but now they've gotten it done. So what have you thought of their ability to just handle the fact that they're kind of making their last run at this thing?
Yeah, and we talked about this with our kids and with our staff this last week, just the resiliency of not only our kids, but the kids everywhere. They've not worrying, about football. That's supposed to be the fun part of it, but your school and we're in year 2 of a pandemic as well. So there's been a lot of different things, a lot of changes that they weren't accustomed to, and we as a society, I think we lost control of some things, and it's hard to get some of those things back. So, I think this year the expectations were extremely high for these kids, and they like that, and they thrive with the expectations. And Taco was a perfect example. It's the more pressure, the more stuff you add to his plate. He just loves that stuff. So I think our kids and their kids have done a wonderful job of getting here. Dana and I talked on Saturday, and we both talked about how difficult this is. It's not easy, and we've been able to do it 3 of the last 4 years, and to get to this point is extremely hard. And Dan, they've won 20 in a row. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure with that, and the pressure of repeating. So it's very difficult for both teams to be here. And we also got to remember we're dealing with kids that are 16, 17, and 18 years old, so which even makes it a little bit more complicated. But proud of our kids, and I'm sure Dan is of his as well.
Absolutely. Well, Taco talked a lot about just the guys that he's been playing with, particularly on the back end defensively, and also on the perimeter offensively. Of course, his brother Caden Dowler, and also Riley Bergeson, all 3 of them Division I caliber players. But how much of an advantage, or I guess how much do you guys lean on those guys? Because it seems like they are sort of a cohesive group within the scope of the team.
Quite a bit, and we can do more things. Our defensive coordinator Matt Hollowell says he will do. He was a defensive coordinator at Rocky Mountain, and he's doing things at college that he can do with these kids. And I told Taco last night. I said I would hire you right now as an assistant coach. With the fact that you'll take my job pretty soon. Same with Riley and same with Caden. They just, we can cheat and we can kind of check how much film they're watching, and the amount of film that these guys put in is unbelievable. So it's a huge benefit. It's a huge luxury, and it's a coach's dream to have kids like that. But really, I mean, Caden as well and Riley, I said you guys would be on our staff. If you didn't want to go to college, I'd hire you right now, to coach football. They're just phenomenal human beings, and they're really intelligent, and football IQs are off the chart.
Well, it's very fun talking to them throughout the year. These kids now these days, they just have such a crazy level of maturity. Like, these kids are so good on the radio show. I can't even believe how good they are. It's amazing. And I think it's a testament to you coaches, too, though. So congratulations on that. Rob Stanton joining us, Billings West head coach. His team taking on Missoula Sentinels for the second year in a row for the Class AA state championship. Coach, let's talk about the matchup. Again, you guys aren't familiar, but it's been a while. What's changed about your team since your first game in Missoula this season when you took on Sentinel and Washington Grizz?
I think we're in a little bit better shape, and in that first game, you're not really good. You think you're a lot better than you are. We obviously watched the film from game one and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did this, or what were we thinking as coaches on this? So I just think that we've improved a lot, and they have too, but I think particularly with our left tackle with Jacob Anderson and our right tackle with Zach Malcolm. Jacob had a knee injury this year. The first contact he had was game one against Sentinel, and he's gotten so much better. Zach had some, with the trauma that he's gone through this year with that accident and everything. So he was also, we didn't know really up until game time whether he was going to play or not. So just things like that, and but they've definitely gotten a lot better too. And I do notice, a couple of our linemen, they're a little bit trimmer, so that's always good to see them not as heavy out there. But it's something that you can't rely on. That's we outguess ourselves. And I always think of a Brett Favre comment. He always liked to play on Thanksgiving Day because the coaches kind of stayed out of the way and just let them play football. And I think we have to do it this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Sentinel. The fact is that they've been different than they were a year ago, just in terms of they had so much star power, especially on offense a year ago. And I know they're still scoring points. And then last week they were maybe as good as they've been offensively in a couple months. But the defense has been the thing that's been so impressive for the Spartans. I think they pitched a shutout for about a month at one point during this year. So when you watch the film, what stands out to you about Sentinel's defense? How have they been able to operate at such a high level?
Well, number one, you can just see the confidence that they have. They're just a confident group of kids, and I think when you have 120 in a row, you're not expecting. There's not even a thought, I would imagine, of ever losing the game. And I think they're so confident that they're probably disappointed if they give up a first down. They fly all over the place. They communicate well with each other. They have great size up front, and they have athletic linebackers. And their secondary is also very athletic. But if you can get high school kids to play with that much confidence, and you can see it on the film. I mean, they're just a very confident group, and it is you see them, and not very many teams can do anything on them. They can't run the ball, they can't throw the ball, and it's always maybe a little demoralizing when you see the quarterback, and the next thing you know, he's out there playing defensive end.
Right.
He's a tough guy, tough kid, and every coach in the world would never do that. But obviously. Zach is a special athlete, and I've never really heard of a kid who tries wrestling his junior year and ends up playing state wrestling meet. So, I think the amount of confidence that they're playing with is off the charts, and that's good for them and good for Coach Oliver.
Well, Zach Cruz is definitely one of a kind, and I think that Coach Oliver would be the first to tell you he can't not play him at defensive end, because I think Zach Cruz would just check himself in the game. I don't think
I'm sure he'd be like, he's not the series, and look out there where he is. I'm not going to tell him he has to get out. No way.
That's exactly right. Well, Coach, what do you think are the keys to this game then when you come to Missoula? I mean, obviously handling the atmosphere will be one, but you guys have played in front of big crowds before, and I think that'll be something that'll be exciting for both teams. But other than that, just on the field, X's and O's wise, what do you think would be some of the keys of the game for your team?
The usual stuff, and we want to be able to run the football, and that's something that not very many teams have ever been able to do on Sentinel this week. And turning it over, we had 2 turnovers last game in the first half, so we can't do that, obviously. So, and I think the atmosphere and both kids on both sides have played in front of crowds like that, and I think the biggest key for both of us is just to let these kids roll and there's so much experience on both sides, and just let them have fun, and don't make it too stressful. Keep the normal routines, all that good stuff. But it's going to be definitely a challenge, and I think a lot of people around the state are looking forward to the matchup, and we hope we can hang in there with them, because they're an awfully good football team, and I think we just got to be able to, we tell the kids all the time, make the plays that you're supposed to make the plays that come to you, but don't try to make everybody else's plays. And sometimes that's hard to do in a high pressure game like this, but in front of a lot of people. But it's going to be exciting. We can't wait to get there on Friday.
It's been since I was in first grade when we first moved to Missoula that the state championship game has been here in the Garden City. Missoula Sentinel, they host Billings West. Friday night, Missoula County Public Stadium, a rematch of last year's Class AA state title. The Golden Bears looking for some redemption, and Missoula Sentinel looking for their second consecutive state championship. Rob Stanton, Billings West head coach, joining us. Thanks so much for being with us, Coach, and best of luck on Friday. We'll look forward to seeing you. Should be a hell of a game.
All right, thanks, Walter. Appreciate the call.
We'll hear from Dana Oliver tomorrow. Caught up with Coach Oliver today down at Missoula Sentinel. It's going to be a great one down there at Missoula County Public Stadium later on tonight. We got some free sandwiches and some free beer for you. Keep it right here, ESPN Radio. Why build a work history at a job when you can build a future in your own business? Westpac Wealth Partners is looking for entrepreneurial-minded people who are ready to take their future into their own hands. Nick Tabor and his associates provide clients with financial tools and tested solutions for navigating this complex financial climate. Westpac Wealth also has a work culture that has been recognized as a best workplace in Fortune magazine. If you're ready to start building a business in a long-term career, apply at westpacwealth.com. Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. Insurance products offered through Westpac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC.
Are you ready to step up your hair game but just not sure where to go? Well, Compass Barbershop, recently voted one of Missoula's best barbershops, is here for you. For the precision cut you're looking for, you've got to find your way to Compass Barbershop, Missoula's retro barbershop and salon for everyone. It's easy to schedule your appointment online at compassbarber.com. For more details, you can find them on Facebook or Instagram. Find your way to Compass Barbershop, open Monday through Saturday on the Hip Strip at the corner of modern and retro.
The biggest shopping of the year is right now during Bob Ward's amazing sales for Black Friday. Get in early from November 18th through the 23rd during our pre-Black Friday sale. It's like Black Friday for 6 straight days at Bob Ward's. We've extended our shopping hours and stocked the store with winter gear, apparel, hunting, fishing, camping, athletics, and more. Plus, we offer curbside pickup and online shopping with in-store pickup. Amazing sales for pre-Black Friday at Bob Ward's from November 18th through the 23rd. Bob Ward's, Sports and Outdoors, a Black Friday shopping tradition.
Colter Nuanez here from your favorite daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now. I know most of you are like me. You keep your precious car outside in this frigid Montana weather. If you want to change your outlook on those freezing Monday mornings, do what I did. Get yourself an automatic car starter at Aspen Sound. Aspen Sound will install the starter for you efficiently and keep you warm. Aspen Sound can also hook you up with sweet window tinting or a top-notch sound system for your vehicle. Stop by Aspen Sound at 1300 West Broadway in Missoula today.
Feel the music at Aspen Sound.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
High school sports are the lifeblood of our communities. Around the state of Montana, we take great pride in the accomplishments of our young athletes. At Montana's #1 daily sports talk show, Colter Nuanez takes covering the best in prep sports seriously, too. Twice each week, be sure to tune in to Nuanez Now for a special Prep Extra segment featuring the best performances from around Western Montana and the Treasure State. Nuanez Now, where prep sports matter. The Prep Extra is proudly presented by Farmers State Bank, serving Montanans since 1907.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
I spend most every night beneath the light of a neon moon. Now, if you lose your one and only, there's always room here for the lonely to watch your broken dreams dance
That song reminds me of my childhood so much. So Brooks and Dunn for you here on a Thursday. It's Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. For those of you that pay attention, Andrew Houghton and I, we spend a lot of time together. I guess not only do we work together here at Missoula Broadcasting Company, we also work together at Skyline Sports, and we also happen to run Skyline Sports out of our house that we live in together. And we're almost always grooving music, but we don't ever actually talk music. Are you into country music? I've never asked you this before. I know you're a big hip hop guy. I think you're kind of into my alternative hard rock stuff lately too. You like country?
Not really.
That song's probably too old for you too, right? I mean, that song probably came out like the year you were born. You're probably not into Brooks and Dunn at all.
No.
Well, I was feeling a little country today, so we went with a little Dire Straits off the top. We're going to have some more throwback 90s country for you here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. One of the best prizes we got here. We got a lot of good prizes for you. I shouldn't say one's better than the other because actually, in fact, all of our prizes are fire. I hope you enjoy it because I've curated the list of prizes and giveaways that we do here based on what I would love as a Missoulian. And I love a lot of things about Missoula, but some of my favorite spots are the places we give stuff away to, including one of my favorite places in the entire Garden City. That's Worden's Market. Worden's, they have a full deli, great soup. Thursdays, sometimes I go down there, get the meatloaf with the mashed potatoes. Oh, so good. Homemade meatloaf. That's where it's at, man, especially now it's getting a little colder. Also, though, Worden's, not just Montana famous, Worden's is world famous for their sandwiches, and they also have the best beer selection of any store you're going to find in Missoula. So each week, each Thursday, we give you a chance to go sample the fare down there at Worden's Market. We got a 6-pack of beer and a sandwich. All you have to do is call us right now, caller number 4. We got a 6-pack of whatever beer you'd like. They'll help you pick it out if you need some advice. Those guys are connoisseurs. They know exactly what's going on. Those kind of sandwich from Worden's Market. So give us a call right now, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Caller number 4. We got a 6-pack and a Sammy for you from Worden's Market. Andrew and I were talking the NBA the other day, and then we got abruptly cut off because our good friend Regime Seabrook came into studio. And I know Andrew's going to have to take the call there for a minute. But the NBA is very interesting right now because they had this multiple year delay, basically, where the season started late, 2 years in a row. It's amazing how you can remake your habits in that form. Because I was always used to the NBA season starting in October, and then I became unused to it because it didn't for a couple years. And now it's bizarre to me that the NBA is happening in November, even though that's mostly the way that it was my entire life. So I've had a hard time getting into it so far, but I will. And it's definitely something we talk about all the time around here. But we've just been so heavy on all the awesome fall sports, not just football. I've actually been very proud of all the stuff we've been able to do around here with all of our interviews and stuff and highlighting all the best from around the state of Montana. But we just haven't talked that much NBA. We were having a good NBA conversation the other day. Then our good buddy Regime came in, and he was having a hard time because he had just had to put his dog down, which is a bummer. And so anyways, Andrew kind of got cut off. And so, Andrew, we were talking about some of the absent stars in the NBA and the fact that, I think that LeBron is going to slow play this thing all the way until the new year at least. And that's kind of the case for a lot of guys because just load management is such a big deal in the NBA right now. But before you got cut off, you were saying there was a lot to like in the NBA. I think the rookie class is very good. That's probably one of the leading storylines right now. But what else is going down in the league? What else are some of the good storylines right now early on here in the NBA?
Yeah, so it's tough to focus on a bunch of this stuff, which is kind of what we were getting at because everybody's got 15 games in and LeBron's not playing. In the NBA, Coulter, here's a take for you. The NBA is just the most off-the-court dramatic league.
Oh, there's not even a close. That's not even a take. That's a fact.
Yeah, among the...
What do we talk about with Carolyn all the time? All she talks about is NBA players and their girlfriends because that's all over TMZ because these guys just can't stay out of the news.
Right. Now, everybody who listens to the show knows that Ben Simmons dates Kardashians because of Carolyn. Right.
Yeah, tease for a little later on in the show because we did record this morning. We got a little bit on Tristan Thompson. I have no idea how he continues to matter. The best part about it, and this is a total spoiler alert, but the best part about it is that Carolyn didn't know that the Sacramento Kings were an NBA team.
Oh, wow. To be fair, I mean,
referendum on the state of the Kings, I guess.
They essentially haven't been for the last 20 years. Here's a Sacramento Kings thing for you, Coulter.
Yeah.
Today, Jason Williams' birthday today. So the highlight tapes were going around Twitter and everything. I will always stop and watch the Jason Williams highlight tape whenever it shows up on my feed.
Oh, yeah, that's right up your alley.
I'm watching the whole thing. It's just, what an incredible, ahead of his time player, like a unique player, and we say that about a lot of players. Bro, Jason Williams, white chocolate.
Unbelievable.
One of the most unique players in NBA history.
No question. I was, a couple side notes here. First of all, hilarious to think that Jason Williams and Randy Moss were on the same high school basketball team. Imagine going against those guys when you're 17 years old.
And also you live in rural West Virginia?
Exactly. Rand, West Virginia. Unbelievable. I also saw a tweet. This is a total outside of the NBA conversation, but I did not realize this either. You'll appreciate this. Very few people, you got to be a big-time Big Sky Conference basketball nerd to appreciate this, but Holland Boo Boo Woods, who was one of the best players in the league during his time at Portland State before grad transferring to Arizona State, and Dre Marine, who was a 4-year starter at Southern Utah. I guess I missed this. I knew they were both from Arizona. I did not know they went to high school together. That is a ridiculous high school backcourt.
Wow.
So fast.
Could you imagine going against those guys?
They're both small, but they're so fast. Both those guys were two of the fastest players in the league.
And, man, Dre Marin for sure loves to talk.
Oh, yeah. And Holland Woods is, I mean, his Twitter handle is the Great Boudini. He's one of the most hilarious street ballers ever. I love those guys. Those guys are both really fun to watch, but I thought that was a ridiculous high school backcourt.
Love those guys. That's a great fact. Third member of that trio who I saw pop up on my Twitter feed the other day, Marcus Graves, still balling out in the G League.
Oh, yeah. Marcus Graves was really good, man. Marcus Graves was like a walking bucket. He was so sweet.
Incredible.
This is why I was standing on the table when Brian Katz retired, because at Sacramento State, here's the thing. Like I always say, you're going to have a first-place team, you're going to have a last-place team, and the way that the standings look is always going to have a very similar number of wins and losses. That's not what I'm determining in terms of if teams are quote-unquote good or not. Sac State's always going to be that team that's kind of right there in the middle to the top of the bottom half of the league. Like 6th to 8th, solid, can beat you. But that's because Brian Katz always made sure that he had one or two of the best players in the league, period. And Marcus Graves was one of those guys. And I just worry as they transition, and who knows, maybe this new coach is a good one, but I just always worry about when guys like that are really invested in a place and they're not making excuses, but they're trying to make that place great. I think it's good. It's better for the league. I think everybody that coached in the league would tell you too. But Brian Katz was an awesome member of the league. The other point I was going to say, speaking of the NBA, speaking of the Bay Area, this was so weird the other day. Idaho women's basketball got a commitment from a girl in Dublin, California, which is right outside of Oakland. And then Jason Kidd retweeted it and said, "Congratulations, you're a great player, you're going to have a great career." I'm like, how? What? Jason Kidd is retweeting Idaho women's basketball recruits? And then I realized that Jason Kidd ran a club program down there and it was very involved in AAU basketball in the Bay Area. So, cool. Good for him. Great service to the youth. Anything else on the NBA?
Yeah, so, okay, we got sidetracked a little bit.
Of course we did. What else is new?
Of course. So the start of the NBA season has been overshadowed by the dramatics off the court that happened in the offseason, the dramatic ongoing stories that are still happening that everybody's talking about. Man, it's overshadowing a great start to the season. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to talk about this because I didn't think it would be true a week from where we were last talking about it. Culture, the Washington Wizards are leading the Eastern Conference.
Come on.
But no, it's representative of sort of the great early season stories because the Wizards are a fun team. I mean, the Wizards are.
I mean, it's the Westbrook principle at this point, right? You get rid of Westbrook, you get better.
Right, exactly. But there was, I mean, when John Wall went down, everybody thought that torpedoed the Washington Wizards for 7 years. I mean, the length of the contract, whatever. They flipped him into Westbrook. They flipped Westbrook into suddenly what's kind of a fun, young, winning team.
Who do they even have? I don't even know. Is Bradley Beal's still there, right?
Brad Beal, but he's been hurt. He's been out.
Okay.
They've got Kyle Kuzma now. Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench and just smashing fools.
Okay.
Rui Hachimura hasn't even played this season, but Denny Avdija, who was their pick, I think, last year, he's growing into something. It's just a fun group of guys who nobody is expecting to stay up there. But this is what the early season is great. And the other thing, I mean, the Golden State Warriors, of course, it's great to see them coming back and smushing the league, but also a couple other teams in the East who remade their rosters and didn't bottom out and didn't tank. I mean, Chicago went for it.
Chicago's good.
With getting Lonzo Ball, getting DeMar DeRozan, right? They're 10-5. They're in third place. They're a half game behind the lead, and they're tied with the Miami Heat, who did what the Miami Heat always do. And they went out and got a good player. They didn't try to tank. They didn't try to bottom out. They just tried to add to what they have. Now they added Kyle Lowry to Bam Adebayo and the guys that they had. They're 10-5. They're a half game behind. So it's fun to see those stories. I think that those are great stories when we're talking about the NBA as a whole. And we're seeing them in the early season. I mean, the Phoenix Suns are continuing their success from last season, when they came out of nowhere. That's a great story. I'm just enjoying it. And a lot of this stuff won't last, but I think it's worth talking about while it's happening.
No question. Thank you, Andrew. More from Andrew about half an hour from now. We'll have a little bit more talk about the rivalry game. Speaking of that, though, hour one in the books. Carolyn, the resident chick who doesn't know sports, she's got some questions about the Bobcat Grizz rivalry. So we'll let her ask those next here on Nuanez Now.
Automated Living has a passion for all kinds of audio and video solutions. We pride ourselves on staying educated on the best technologies out there to make your experience absolutely amazing. We customize every build after listening to our clients' dream for how their system should look and sound in their space. We make those kind of dreams come true. If you haven't seen an OLED television, come to our shop and see the difference for yourself. Want sound on the deck or around the house that you can control with your phone? Give us a call and we'll figure out how to professionally make that happen. Automated Living, life made easy.
Buying or selling a home can be an intimidating task. Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team of Windermere Real Estate are here to make you feel comfortable no matter where you're at in the process. The official realtors of Grizzly Athletics have more than 4 decades of experience in Western Montana. Brent and his team can not only find you your perfect home or buyer, but they can also teach you about the great city of Missoula and its tradition-laden sports teams. The Wahlberg team works as a family to help fulfill your real estate needs all over Western Montana. If you need help with residential, land, investment, or commercial, give Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team a call today.
Ready, set, shop. Have you looked at the calendar? It's time. Forget high-interest credit cards. Apply for a holiday loan from Farmer State Bank. Holiday loans feature low monthly payments that are easy to budget for. Upon approval, you'll have the cash you need for a holiday to remember. Whether it's online or local shopping, travel, whatever. Call Farmer State Bank for details and apply today. Farmer State Bank, an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community, and they want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. When it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys. Hey there, Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now, your favorite daily sports talk show. My family first moved to Missoula in 1993. The last time the Garden City hosted a Class AA state championship was the following year. Friday night, Missoula County Public Stadium, the top-ranked Sentinel Spartans gunned for their second consecutive Class AA state title. The second-ranked Billings West Golden Bears in town for a rematch of last year's state championship game. It's an awesome opportunity for the city of Missoula. So if you have a chance, head on down to Missoula County Public Stadium and support some of the best athletes from around the state of Montana. And if you can't make it, or even if you can, be sure to tune in to Nuanez Now each weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. right here on 102.9 ESPN Missoula for all your lead-up and recap coverage of state championship football games from around the Treasure State. Nuanez Now and ESPN Missoula, proud to bring you the best in prep football coverage all season long.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
Man, Dwight Yoakam, Snoqualmie Casino, Father's Day of 2011. One of the best concerts I've ever been to with my old man. Awesome, man. What a musician. Nuanez now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana TV. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio at Northwest Motorsport, new to Montana, new to Missoula. You can find them here in the Garden City at the corner of Stevens and Mount, or you can check out the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest by visiting them online, nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. Miss anything in the first hour of the show? Fun first hour. Good friend Sean Rainey swung by, break down the upcoming rivalry game between the Bobcats and the Grizzlies. We also heard from Billings West head coach Rob Stanton. His team plays Missoula Sentinel in a rematch of the Class AA State Championship game here Friday night, Missoula County Public Stadium. And our producer, good friend Andrew Houghton, chimed in with a little talk about the NBA, and we also got you fed a little six-pack and a beer and a sandwich from Warden's Market. All that can be found on the podcast, which is proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana, Blackfoot Communications, and the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Well, I'm having a great Thursday morning because I just had a big glass of milk. Carolyn didn't even see me drinking it. Every time I see it now, though, and every time I drink it, I feel so bad because everybody tells me that it's just like this weird thing. And it's just delicious. I like my English muffin with my peanut butter and my milk.
Drink up. You also had yogurt I can smell.
That's so amazing. You can smell the yogurt. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. The rivalry game edition. This is phenomenal because as little as Carolyn knows about professional and nationwide and worldwide sports, she knows less about the sports that happen in our town and our state, despite the fact that her best friend in the whole world, that's me, runs an entire multimedia company and a radio station about sports. It's great. But if I had a TMZ site, you'd go on that a little bit more, I think.
100%.
So how do I make like a TMZ Skyline Sports?
That's what we're doing here.
This is like ESPN Skyline Sports TMZ.
Right.
Great.
That's what my segment is.
Do you like my picture?
I love this picture.
It's a great picture. Yeah, we're looking at a photo. If you're watching on TV, you can see it in the shot. Although we're not in studio, we are pre-recording this here on a Thursday. But this is a shot from just before high noon in Bozeman in 2019. And it's Montana head coach Bobby Hauck and former Montana State head coach Jeff Choate shaking hands. And what played out after this photo was taken was among the most shocking results of any football game I've ever been to. It was a much anticipated showdown, as this week's rivalry game is. It was a pair of top 8 teams. We thought it was going to be this crazy slugfest, and Montana State whooped them worse than they've ever whooped them before, 48-14, and it was a crazy statement by Montana State because I never, ever thought under any circumstance that Bobby Hauck would get beat like that, ever, and he did. But now with Jeff Choate no longer a part of the rivalry, I think that brings an entirely new element to the rivalry. How does Brent Vegan handle this? Bobby Hauck is certainly beyond hungry for a victory in this game, and it's been almost 50 years since Montana State beat Montana 5 times in a row, and that's what's at stake on Saturday. So what do you think when this week rolls around?
Well, I'll tell you what I think.
Because you're from Canada, so you don't really even know about all this stuff. There's no house divided for you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have a major beef with this football game every year, and I will tell you why.
What is that?
Today is my son Nick's 12th birthday.
That's right. Happy birthday, Nick.
And since we moved here, when he was little especially, we'd try and throw him a birthday party.
Yep.
And parents of 3 and 4 and 2-year-olds would say, sorry, can't make it to the birthday party. It's Grizz Cat this weekend. Do you know how awful that is for me as a parent? And my kid is like, what is Grizz? What? I don't understand.
Oh, man. You should just take him sometime.
I'm not going to take a 3-year-old.
Well, that's right. Well, he's 12 now, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
My point is, it's always been a thorn in my side. It took me a couple of years to realize, like, oh, I need to Google when this stupid game is so people will actually come to my kid's birthday party.
Oh, man.
So I really pretty much have a pretty big chip on my shoulder about this game.
Well, unfortunately, Nick's birthday's not going to change days, and this is going to be within 5 days of his birthday at all times because that's kind of how the calendar works.
Well, now he's just having friends over for pizza or whatever, so It doesn't really matter.
Is it more fun when they get older or less fun? Did you like throwing the big birthday parties with the
it.
pirate cakes and stuff?
I make all the cakes
Oh,
myself.
wow.
So, like,
You're such a good mom.
I'm making a soccer ball cake this year.
Nice.
I've made Star Wars cakes.
Wow.
I made a cake that was like glow in the dark because it was a video game console.
Wow. Okay.
I've made Mickey Mouse,
Dang.
Batman,
Wow.
Spider-Man. Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
Well,
Kylo Ren.
sorry you have to share your birthday with the biggest sporting event in the state of Montana every year, Nick, but happy birthday. Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. All right, so you have some questions for me about this, I hear.
I do.
Okay.
Now, before we even start, I was censored before we even began because I'm not allowed to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And
Our boss, who is, there's no question, the biggest Packers fan on the earth, came in here before we started recording and pointed her finger like an angry schoolmaster at Carolyn and said, "You will not talk about Aaron Rodgers today."
And I said, I will not be censored. She said, he has done nothing but win this week.
He's
What
done
else
nothing but
has
win
he
this
done?
year.
And you know what I said? He was still a douchebag.
Aaron Rodgers can't do anything right, but he can because all he does is win football games, and that's all that really matters.
Well, he still sucks. Okay.
Okay.
So I have a few questions about this game.
Okay.
Number one, do you call it Cat Grizz or do you call it Grizz Cat?
Wow, if you listen to the show all week, I've given this public service announcement multiple times, but I call it the greatest rivalry in the West, the fiercest rivalry in the West, the Treasure State's fiercest football rivalry, the greatest rivalry within the Treasure State, because people are so silly and they get all backwards because they think whatever order you say it in is some sort of affiliating property.
Right.
The Army-Navy game is the longest standing rivalry in all of college football. No one, not even people that are in the Navy, call it the Navy-Army game.
Right.
It's the Army-Navy game because A comes before N. It's all about the alphabet. So if I do by chance call it this, I call it Cat Grizz because C comes before G, and that's it.
Well, it also just sounds better.
Sounds way better.
It just works. It
I
doesn't
know.
mean you're rooting for anyone because right now I'm rooting for the Grizz because I live in Missoula.
Sure.
But I'm 90% sure my older son's going to go to MSU.
Right.
And then I'm gonna
he's
have
into
to-
film, and they have a
Yes.
phenomenal film school. It's absolutely probably happening.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to get on board with this.
Well, I don't root for anybody. I just want a great game, and it's just funny because people get all sideways. Like
Yeah.
Monday, I was wearing a gray and red flannel, and I had to change into one of my ESPN shirts over here, my polos, which is, that's what I'd do probably anyways.
Right.
But because I was like, well, I can't wear my red and gray shirt on
Right.
the TV because then all the Bobcat people are going to freak out.
Right,
and
right.
It's just amazing. It's amazing the way that people take this stuff. But here's the thing. You call it Grizz, Cat Grizz, whatever you want. I don't know. I think the alphabetical order sounds better, but don't call it the Brawl of the Wild. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
Think it's cute.
It would be cute if we lived in like Eureka or Ekalaka or something like that. We don't live in the wild. We live in a city.
It's Montana.
It's not wild. Missoula is so not wild.
People think Montana's wild. Let's just
But
let
everybody
them-
around Montana does not think Missoula is wild at all. They think we're so soft and granola, and it's not Montana.
I was talking with my brother's friends in Chicago. This was like 9 years ago. And they were like, you live in Montana? Do you have like horses? I'm like, yes, I churn my own butter and I take the horse into town. Like, no, we have electricity and plumbing. Relax.
The thing is, though, there's a lot of people that are listening to this show that do live very much like old school.
Yes.
I know
which
this
is great. Good for them.
I know this is on in a bar right now in Shoto, Montana. I know this is on in a bar up in Glasgow. And I'm not saying those people don't live in civilization. Those towns are awesome.
Watch it.
Those towns are awesome. But I mean, I got a buddy who lives in Glasgow. He's a cowboy. That's what he does.
Right.
Cowboys. He herds cattle and loves it.
That's awesome.
Sits by himself all day, listens to podcasts. He thinks it's the greatest day every day. It's
So
great.
would
It is
he
a great
call
day.
it the Brawl of the Wild?
Well, no, because that's just silly. It's a stupid name.
I think it's cute.
It's not a Jack
Well,
London
maybe we
novel.
should have a renaming contest.
Well, I mean, not the Brawl of the Wild would be a good start.
Okay, fine.
Fiercest rivalry in the West. That's good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next up, who has won the most games? I mean,
This is the 120th edition of the rivalry. The Grizz have won 71 of those games.
okay.
The Cats have won, I believe, 43, and then they've tied 5 times.
Wow. You can tie football?
You used to be able to,
Oh.
not in college anymore, but back in the day. But a couple dissections of those statistics. The 120 matchups have come over the span of about 124 years, maybe 125 years. There were several years where there wasn't a Cat Grizz game, mostly stemming from either war or pandemic, ironically.
Oh.
Including last year.
Did we not have it last
year? 2020 there was no one. Yeah, so the second time that some sort of pandemic.
Wild.
I know.
Wild.
It is wild.
For all the wild.
The other thing worth noting is that the Grizz dominated this rivalry extensively for the first half of it because these two teams were not in the same division until 1963. The Grizz were always one division above the Cats. So they didn't even play the same conference. Like, it used to be like Montana State College versus the University of Montana. And then finally when Montana State University became a thing, then they joined the same league. So in the modern era, since 1963, the Grizz are winning in the rivalry 31-26.
Okay.
So the Cats won 12 of the first 15. And then the Grizz stole a couple, and then they went back and forth in the early 80s. And then in 1985, the year Washington Grizzly Stadium opened, the Grizz won for the first of 16 straight times. That's why there's so much vitriol in this rivalry, and that's why there's so much of a crazy complex that exists between the two fan bases.
Right.
Because there's a whole generation of Grizz fans that could just talk smack to Cat fans, and there's a whole generation of Cat fans that it became the only thing that they wanted to do was beat the Grizz because they were just so tired of people talking smack to them at Thanksgiving every year.
Right.
So then when they did come and beat the Grizz in 2002, which, by the way, Mike Kramer joined us yesterday on the show. He was the head coach of the Bobcats when they snapped the streak back in 2002. Phenomenal interview. You can find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. But since the streak was snapped 2002, it's 9-9. So it's dead even. So basically the modern era, it's been an even playing field. So this is sort of for bragging rights for the century thus far. And but the Cats have not won 4 in a row since the late 1970s. So a 5th win in a row would be basically the peak of the last 50 years for the Bobcats in this rivalry.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of fans, which team's fans are the sorest losers?
Oh, man. Well, Grizz fans at this exact moment, because they were so accustomed to not losing. The narrative in the state of Montana for the last 30 years has been that the Bobcats are the Grizzlies' little brother.
Okay.
But like after this beatdown that I just referred to, that was my lead. The Bobcats are little brother no more, and it's undeniable. And I think that's the most fascinating part of what I've been seeing and hearing around Missoula. Grizz people and Grizz supporters are acting like Bobcat people did for a long time. They're getting pretty desperate. They're biting their fingernails. They're freaking out. What's going to happen? What if we lose again? The Cats are definitely favored in this game again. That's a very foreign place to be for Grizz fans.
Right.
Grizz fans are not used to not being favored against everybody, especially at home. But the Vegas line opened up with the Cats as 3.5-point favorites.
Really?
In Washington Grizzly Stadium, which means that Vegas thinks that they're a one-score favorite because it's usually about 3.5 points for just being the home team. So Vegas thinks the Cats are a full touchdown favorite in this game, which is pretty crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I think that everybody listening to this is screaming at the TV or the radio saying, no, if they're Grizz fans, no, Cat fans are sore losers. But that's one part actually about this rivalry that I don't like at all is that both sides are really sore losers. People really take this way too seriously. Like if the Grizz lose in Missoula on Saturday, it's going to be a disaster downtown.
That led up to my next question.
Yeah.
Which fans are going to have the most arrests this week?
Oh, if the Grizz lose in Missoula this weekend, downtown is going to be a mess.
Do you think
it's going to be a mess?
What do you mean, like riots?
I mean, it's just like so many people so mad and drunk and angry.
Do we need to call the National Guard?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
You know, it is actually interesting, though, too, because sometimes you see this, because actually the irony of this whole thing is that both these schools have such great home field advantages, but the road team in this game has been the successful team most of the last 15 years. The Cats have won 4 out of their last 5 trips to Missoula. They've only lost one time in the last decade here. But the Grizz have won it in Bozeman, I think, 4 times in the last 15 years, so like 4 out of their 6 trips there. So, actually, oftentimes, when the home team loses and the game starts at noon, everybody starts going so hard so early.
I know.
That the home team loses. Actually, a lot of times people just go home and go to bed.
Okay, well that's
but I will tell you this: if the Cats come here and win for a third time in a row and they're on a 5-game winning streak, people are going to freak out.
Okay, let's pause here and say to people, don't freak out.
Don't freak out. That's right. It's just a sporting event. Like, I thought Mike Kramer, he had such a good take on this yesterday. He said the phenomenon of sport is so fascinating, but in certain ways, it's so unique and also there's so many positives to it, but there's also so many weird things. Like, we make too much of a big deal out of this. Right. Like Mike Kramer said, it's not just about winning and losing. This is the display of some of the most talented athletes and students at these two schools for all of Montana to watch.
Right.
And 91 of these kids are from Montana. Like, there's about 40 kids that are from small town Montana in this game. That's what it's all about. Exactly. Is the kid from Valier and the kid from Sunburst and the kid from Dillon that are all playing on the biggest stage of college football. That's what it's all about. So these kids are going to play their hearts out. I think that if they lose, just don't freak out. Here's the best news I could tell anybody that's listening to this, no matter what you're a fan of. Both these teams are going to the playoffs, no matter what happens on Saturday.
Yeah.
This isn't a loser or go home game. This is both teams are going to the playoffs. One team can win 55-0. The team that loses, they're still going to the playoffs. So it's all good. These teams have had great years. So just be cool.
Be cool. Remember, you're setting an example for the children around you. And it's just football. Like, I get it. It's fun. Well, I don't get it, but it's supposed to be fun.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, it is also just the children thing is disturbing too. Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports, ESPN Radio. Like, I'm getting to the age now, we're sort of in the similar age demographic where there's a lot of people with kids that are like between 6 and 15 years old. Mm-hmm. I know so many people that are into football that would definitely be going to this game that aren't going to this game because they do not want to expose their children to all the bad behavior.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of silly that there's like a bunch of people just acting juvenile and screaming curse words. Like,
right.
Have some fun, but clean it up a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Just always remember there's children watching.
That's right.
Okay. So with that,
okay,
which team's fans, not team, but fans, party the most?
Wow. This is a great question. The tailgate scenes at both these schools are so epic. The Grizz sort of created it, and the Cats were trying to catch up to it forever. Now the Cats are just rocking, and like their tailgate stuff is so sweet, and all their pregame stuff is awesome, and everybody has their big blue and gold tents out there, and you can find all sorts of good barbecue and whatever. My perception is that so many of the, especially older demographic of Bobcat fans, are people that have agricultural backgrounds, because Montana State still is the ag school of the state. There's a lot of people from Eastern Montana that come to the games. And so I guess the best way I could describe it is those people got the better barbecues because they got the better beef, and they got and those people can drink beer like it's going out of style. Grizz, though, partying way harder, are way more lit, and I guess the best analogy I could say is the Cat people are drinking as many light beers as they can over a 12-hour span, whereas the Grizz people are drinking as much Hot Damn or Fireball as fast as they can before they go into the game.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could describe it.
So I went to NAU.
Yes.
And
Grizz were there last weekend.
Yes, they were. We did not have a tailgate scene when I was there. They may have one now.
They don't.
Okay.
They don't have anybody going to any games, which is the weirdest thing.
I know. I went to games and it was fun because we were in the dome and all that.
Yep.
And so you were warm and comfortable, and that's great. But no tailgate scene. So when we moved here, I was blown away by the tailgate scene here. Like, I thought it was so cool. I personally cannot spend an entire Saturday at a tailgate.
Right.
I would lose my mind. I have way too much to do.
Right.
But I do love seeing the fans just, and then at our tailgate that we do in the morning before the game is so fun because we get to see all these people coming in, many of them coming out of the bars already or walking in with Bloody Marys. And like the last game that started at noon, I mean, people were drinking at 10 a.m. earlier probably. I was impressed. I'm not going to lie.
No question. Grizz fans are way more rowdy, and that's not a slight to Bobcat fans. Bobcat fans are awesome, but I have a pregame show in both towns, right? Mm-hmm. I guess the best way I could say it is like at our pregame show, people were walking by screaming, cheers in the drinks. What's up, Nuanez?
Yeah.
And Bozeman, everybody comes and says hi. But
Yeah.
hi, good to see you. Listen to your show all the time.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
Are they nerds? You made it sound like
Bobcat
nerds.
fans are just a lot.
Hi, it's nice to
I
meet
mean,
you.
I don't mean this as a slight to Grizz fans. I actually mean this as a compliment to Grizz fans and a compliment to Bobcat fans. Bobcat fans are a lot nicer than Grizz fans.
Really?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Well, Grizz fans, you can show Coulter that he's wrong by coming up and saying hello on Saturday at our
The thing
tailgate.
is, like 80% of the people listening to this are like, hell yeah, we don't want to be nice.
Aw.
we want.
Say hi anyway.
It's not even that they don't want to be nice; they just want to be rowdy. Grizz fans are just the rowdiest,
Yeah.
man. I've been to games all over the country. Grizz fans, both fan bases are tremendous, but Grizz fans go so hard.
Yeah. Well,
As Mike Kramer, my good buddy, said yesterday on the show, he said, if the game was ever any later than noon, you wouldn't want that because these people already know how to get very, very well lubricated before the action
no, it is
begins.
impressive. It is impressive. Well, that's just another reminder for everyone just to, maybe have some water.
That's right.
In between.
You can come get water from us.
Yes, you can. Pepsi is providing water and soda before the game at our tailgate.
Yep.
So for free. So
Yep.
say hi.
ESPN College Game Day Twisted Tailgate will be coming on live at 9:30. Be broadcast from 9:30 to 11:30 Saturday morning. So come by. We got all sorts of stuff Alpine Touch for you. We'll be drawing for a big giveaway tomorrow, and then we'll be presenting that to the winners on Saturday.
We're also entering you to win a party on the Montana Party Bus. That's your last day to register is Saturday. The girls from Twisted Tea are going to be there handing out swag. I think we're going to have the big Twisted Tea, big inflatable chair. If it's not too windy. If it's too windy, we can't do it because it'll just fly away and probably kill somebody. But you can come take some pics. It's super fun.
Yep, coming out with us before the game, a couple hours before the 120th edition of the Montana State-Montana rivalry. All right, Chico Doesn't Know Sports, ESPN Radio. What else you got?
How are we on time?
We're good.
Okay.
We got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, did you know that the Staples Center is being changed to crypto?
Yeah, we're out of Cat Grills. We're going to the national scene. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're moving on.
Okay.
I got all my Cat Grizz stuff out of my system. Did you know this?
What is it?
The Staples Center is now going to be a crypto.com center.
Wow.
Guess how much they paid for that?
Oh, 1 billion bitcoins.
$700 million.
Yeah.
Why crypto? What?
Oh no, there's going to be nothing but crypto soon.
Stop it.
Your kids, Nick will it'll be very, very unlikely that Nick earns any paychecks as a graduated from college adult that isn't in crypto.
Get out of here.
Well, he's going to be spending it in the meta universe anyway.
Oh,
so
stop it. Okay.
We're going to be living surrogate lives. We're going to be plugging our heads into
Stop it.
surrogate simulations.
Okay, this is sports, not your weird. Okay. Tristan Thompson.
Oh, here we go.
Former, baby daddy for Khloe Kardashian. But I guess he plays for the Kings.
I had no idea he was still in the NBA.
Who's the Kings?
The Sacramento Kings.
I thought they were that's Golden State Warriors. Sorry. Okay. They've lost 4 out of the 5 last games. And he, at a press conference, said, no man should need another man to inspire them. Basically, like, I don't need my coach.
Right.
We don't need coaching. So tell me your opinion on that. He says we're grown men. We should be able to inspire ourselves to get out on the, I almost said field.
Court. Yeah. Man. In the NBA, being a coach is number 1 is managing egos and drama. And number 2 is then like managing the clock in a game and like the substitutions and things.
Sorry.
But the inspiration is probably not that high up the list.
What? You don't think?
It's
Do
men
you not
coaching
watch
men.
Ted Lasso?
I'd never have watched Ted Lasso.
He gives the most inspiring speeches.
What's he coach?
Soccer.
Okay.
Football.
Yeah, I think that soccer and football are probably different than NBA though. The NBA is so free flowing, and these guys make so much money. Like, who are they going to actually listen to, right?
Wild. Brawl of the Wild.
I mean, I guess both sides have validity. Like you could and should maybe draw inspiration from your coach, but I also get where Tristan Thompson's coming from.
Okay.
If you're making $60 million, I think he's still on his ridiculous contract. If he's making $12 million a year or whatever, it's like.
I get that, but I feel like first of all, I think it was super disrespectful for what he said. I think that's disrespectful to his coach.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. He's making more money than his coach, probably. So
no, there's no probably. He definitely.
Okay. But you still need to have respect for the person who's your leader.
Yeah, that's the most confusing part in the NBA, though, because it's very rare the coach is actually the leader.
What do you mean? What do they do?
They call timeouts and do substitution patterns and stuff like that. But make no mistake, people are not. Who's the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers? You have no idea. Exactly. Because who does everybody follow?
LeBron.
Exactly. LeBron James is the coach of the Lakers.
All right. Well, this is great.
Phil Jackson, what was he so famous for? Nothing about timeouts or play calls or drawing up stuff on the board. Nope. He was famous because he made Dennis Rodman and Michael Jordan not kill each other.
He also wore some really great suits.
He wears some really great suits.
And
let Rodman disappear to Vegas for a week-long bender during the finals,
Yeah.
That's the Zen master, though. It's all about the managing of the egos.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just found it disrespectful.
Yeah.
I think he owes his coach an apology.
Okay. I don't even know the coach of the Kings.
And he also owes Khloe Kardashian about 10 apologies because he keeps cheating on her.
Well, that part is you get what you deserve, I guess.
No one deserves to be cheated on.
Well, I totally agree, but those people also have exploited their lives to the maximum, so I have no sympathy for them at all.
Okay.
Keep your personal life out. I don't know. It's weird. It's bizarre. It's
agree.
totally bizarre to me.
I don't really care.
The fact is that those people's relationship status is why we know who they are. That's ridiculous. You would never know who Tristan Thompson was unless he was dating another person who I still have no idea how they became famous. How'd they become famous?
Do you want me to say it on the air?
Oh, my God, no.
Okay.
Videotapes. You can just say that. Okay.
Videotapes. Okay. I would like to...
Chick who doesn't know sports, ESPN Radio. What else do you have?
I want to wrap this up with a question.
Okay. Is that your sales budget?
Yes.
How many pages is it? 14?
1,000.
Carolyn is the greatest salesperson in the entire state of Montana.
Stop.
You are.
But go on.
It's unbelievable. I don't even know how you possibly do it.
I don't either.
It's unbelievable. Anyways.
You know what it is?
What?
Salespeople are C students with A+ personalities.
No wonder I'm so good or so bad at sales.
Yeah, see?
I got straight A's.
Yeah, not me. That's why I went to NAU. Hello.
Straight A's, no friends.
Okay.
Bad for sales.
Listen, I have a question for you, and I need to preface it with a story.
Okay.
So my friend's daughter goes to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That really has nothing to do with the story, but I wanted to name drop Ole Miss.
Okay. You ever been there?
No, I want to go.
What a cool place.
Yeah.
I went there one time for a game. It's awesome.
Yeah, it looks
everybody's
really
in
fun.
their tuxedos and their dresses
dressed
and stuff.
up. Yeah.
It's so hilarious, though, because you have all these guys wearing these bright yellow and white suits, and half of them are just covered in just jungle juice and all sorts of weird vodka cranberry drinks and stuff, just ruining their suits. Hey, at least you're partying.
Seersucker.
That's right.
Okay, so she and I were speaking about football yesterday, believe it or not.
Wow.
And we were talking about, I don't even know, but she said something about traveling in football.
Okay.
Is there traveling in football?
Traveling to get to the game?
No.
Like a traveling call like a basketball?
Yes.
No, there's not traveling.
I knew it. She was like, I was cracking up. She's like, there's traveling in football. And I said, you're thinking of basketball.
What does she think the signal was?
I don't know, but I was like, I think you're wrong. And then I was like, well, I'm the chick who doesn't know sports.
Maybe she's confused by the call, because a call for traveling by the ref is like the hand over the hand, but then also the call for a false start when the offensive line jumps off sides.
Okay, well,
maybe she got the signals confused. No, there's no traveling in football besides.
Oh my God. Bing, bang, boom. I'm going to send this to her, and I am right. I love being right. She's also a very good friend. She's the one who got me those fancy shoes for my birthday.
Those have been the hit of the town. Every time we go on sales calls, people are loving what are they, Tory Burch? Tory Burch.
Yeah. Now, I only got them because I help her with her social media for her
You're an influencer.
business. I am a hashtag influencer.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's all I got for you guys. We'll return next week with the tool of the week because I'm not allowed to talk about Aaron Rodgers this week.
Are we giving something away?
AC Hotel, baby.
We got a couple vouchers. AC Hotel. You go down there, get some breakfast, some brunch. Maybe drink some mimosas, Bloody Marys. All you got to do is call us right now. Go caller number 2, 406 888-1029.
And you have to say Brawl of the Wild when Coulter
call us and say Brawl of the Wild. 406-888-1029. Caller number 2. We got a pair of vouchers to the AC Hotel. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Love it. A resident chick who doesn't know sports, Carolyn. Thanks for swinging by. Let's talk a little bit more about this Cat Grizz game and hear some thoughts from Bobby Houck. Houck highlights next. Hallelujah. Football is back around the Treasure State, and whether you want to watch high school football on SWX Montana or on the MHSA live stream, or you're looking to catch the Grizzlies each and every Saturday, or you want to check out all the action when it comes to the NFL, you want to head on down to Paradise Falls. Has 30 big screen TVs, 18 draft beers, breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus Paradise Falls has the Sports Bet Montana kiosks, so you can make all your bets no matter what football you are watching. Come watch football in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
You know what you need. You're a contractor, a landscaper, a weekend explorer, and you know better than anyone that having the right tool for the job makes life that much easier. With over 1,500 vehicles to choose from, Northwest Motorsport has the right rig for you. Check out NWMSbox.com and find hundreds of cars, trucks, and SUVs to fit your work, your life, and your style. That's Northwest Motorsport. Trucks, and more trucks.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Hey, what's up? Coulter Nuanez from Nuanez Now, your favorite daily sports talk show. Here to remind you, this is the biggest weekend of the football season across the Treasure State, and the center of the football universe is in Western Montana. On Saturday afternoon, Montana hosts Montana State in the 120th edition of the fiercest rivalry in the West. But on Friday night, Missoula Sentinel will host Billings West in a rematch of last year's state championship game, the first Class AA state title game in Missoula since 1994. And out in Florence, the Florence Falcons will host upstart Big Four. Hamilton heads to Laurel. The Class A championship, interviews with Grizz greats like Dylan McFarland and Joe Glenn, or Bobcat legends like Mike Kramer and Travis Lulay, plus outstanding high school coaches like Billings West's Rob Stanton, Missoula Sentinel's Dane Oliver, Hamilton's Bryce Carver. For all the commentary leading up to the ultimate football weekend around Montana, be sure to tune in to Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Missoula, SWX Montana Television, 4 to 6 each weekday throughout the greatest week of the year.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's producer Tommy from Nuanez Now. Did you know you don't even need a radio to listen to Nuanez Now? You can watch Nuanez Now all around the state of Montana on SWX television, channel 199 on Charter or 23.3 on terrestrial television. Plus, you can stream every minute of Nuanez Now live on YouTube. Tune into the stream on 1029ESPN.com or find ESPN Missoula on the TuneIn Radio app. 4 to 6 weekdays on 1029 ESPN Radio.
This old rig is humming and rolling, she's doing fine. If somebody wants to know what's becoming of this so-and-so, tell them I'm somewhere looking for the end of that long white line. Tell them I'm somewhere looking for the end of that long white line.
Little Sturgill for you on the way back. Thanks so much for hanging out. Happy Thursday. It's Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. I'm Coulter Nuanez. It's time now for our Houck Highlights, where we bring you some of the best from Bobby Houck each week. Usually I catch up with Coach Houck for about 5 minutes before Wednesday's practices. But this week, no availability other than the press conference. So this was our only opportunity to get Coach Houck. So a couple thoughts from him. First and foremost, before we talk about this rivalry game, one more time, Montana won for the 4th straight time last week, a 30-3 victory over Northern Arizona. First victory in Flagstaff in a decade for Montana, which is crazy. They haven't been there in half a decade, so a little bit of a caveat, but still, it's been a while since they won down there, so it was a good win by Montana. The defense played outstanding once again. Bobby Houck on that victory.
Certainly was a good job by our guys going down there and getting the win. We were missing a ton of players due to injury, and they fought their way back out there and battled their tails off and got a convincing win on the road. I didn't realize till after the game, I think, that we hadn't won down there in 10 years or something. So thought we played hard, fast, and physical. I enjoyed watching our team. I enjoyed watching the film yesterday. And so now we're into the Week 11 game. We've dropped the last 2 to these guys, so we need a win. And that's what it is. I think they're good up front on both sides of the ball. That's where it starts, and should be a heck of a game.
Bobby Houck, a little recap / preview. Bring in now Andrew Houghton, our producer here at ESPN Missoula. And a couple things striking that you noticed there. One, we've lost 2 in a row to these guys, not 4. So Bobby Houck is disregarding the tenure of the coaching staff that came before his. Interesting tactic. Not surprising. And secondly, though, he said they were missing a bunch of players. You watched this game a little bit more closely than me, but by my estimation of my watch back of this game, because, by the way, I always watch all the games all the time, but I have only had a chance to watch this thing back once. Usually I got about 3 watches under my belt at this point. But I know that Dylan Cook was out, right tackle, for the second game in a row. And I know that they're still battling some guys that are kind of banged up at running back, but it seemed like everybody else was back at running back, getting a few carries at least. Who was missing that he's alluding to?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe Nick Osmo.
Yeah, Nick Osmo for sure, but he said they were missing a ton of guys, and I thought that it's interesting that that's been sort of the spun narrative of their season, because for moments in time it's certainly been true. For others, not so much. But it's been the omnipresent thing that the coaching staff, particularly Coach Houck, has talked about.
Here's the thing. I think that it's definitely been up and down. The injuries have come in waves for them. They've had guys come in and come back, and they've been missing different guys at different times. I think that his overall point is still pretty salient. It's a pretty good point. Yeah. Just talking about the guys' competitiveness.
Yep.
Even with all the injuries, because here's the thing. It's difficult in the first place to get a team, especially, to play as hard as especially their defense has done all season.
Yep. It's true.
It's difficult to do that for the starting 11 guys that you have. It's really, really difficult to get that attitude to sort of infect the second and third guys on the depth chart who have had to play for Montana this season because of injuries at one point or another, and have generally played with that same intensity, and I think and that same competitiveness, which is a word that Bobby Houck returned to
over and over again,
time and time again in this press conference.
Yep.
So I think the bigger point remains.
That's the thing that it's my number one. Missing link's the wrong word, but I guess there is what I'm getting at is that Coach Houck has said over and over and over again, whether it's in a press conference or to us here at ESPN Radio or Riley Corcoran, the voice of the Grizz, in his pre- and post-game interviews or on Inside the Den, whatever. He says over and over and over again, I absolutely love the competitiveness of this team. I absolutely love how much they love to play football. He said it last night, his coach's show again. He said, if you come to Tuesday, Wednesday practice, these guys play just as hard as they play on Saturday. I love that they love the game of football. I love that they play hard every single down. That's reflected positively in how great they've been defensively and on special teams this year. So I guess I'm wondering if this is the best practicing team and the team that loves football the most and the most competitive team that Coach Houck has coached, why isn't it the best? That's interesting.
Because of the injuries potentially, this has been the big question hanging over this team all season long. It's like, oh, you've been talking since the first day of fall camp about how hard they practice, how the intensity is even higher than the games that they were playing, how it's made them better. Yeah. And all of that is true. They have also been one of the most injured teams in the Big Sky Conference all year. I am not saying that there is a correlation there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that both of those two things are true. And it's something that I would love to look into further because it's something that takes a lot. You got to talk to a lot of people to figure out if that's correlated and whatnot. Some people will say it is. Some people will say it isn't. We just haven't had time to. But both of those things are true.
Yeah, I think that the missing Marcus Knight, Gabe Solser, like star players like that is certainly, hugely detrimental, especially to your execution on offense. Not having your senior quarterback for a month in the season, also detrimental. Also, though, I just think the offensive line hasn't been as good as they thought it would be or wanted it to be. So that will certainly play a big factor. As Bobby Houck just said, this is Houck Highlights, presented by Ryan Holloway and Miller. Paul Ryan, a well-respected and long-time attorney in the city of Missoula. He's been named Missoula's top attorney 13 different times. He's now proud to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan Holloway and Miller. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your go-to for any of your legal needs, whether it's medical malpractice, wrongful death, criminal defense. Ryan Holloway and Miller are available for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So give them a call anytime. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your Montana attorneys. That offensive line, regardless of what the opinion is of it, is going to be heavily tested on Saturday. I think that the 4 losses in a row to the Bobcats has really got some stuff stuck in the craw of most people that follow the Grizz. But it's been accentuated by the way Montana State's won. The fact that they've run the ball straight down Montana's throat 4 times in a row. It's not something that anybody that follows the Grizz is accustomed to seeing over the last 20 years. It's not the way that, even when the Grizz have lost, it's not the way that they generally lose. And so I think it's been striking. It's also a huge rivalry game for Bobby Houck, because Coach Houck won 4 in a row before he left for UNLV in this rivalry game after dropping 2 of his first 3. And he now enters this game with a 5-4 record all time against Montana State, and he's on a 2-game losing streak. This game comes with a ton of pressure. Sometimes it's too much pressure, just in terms of the weight that's put on it when it comes to coaching decisions and the future of coaching staffs. I'm not in any way implying that Bobby Houck's job is in any sort of peril, because it's certainly not. He has done a good job of turning this thing around. He's a couple steps away from me saying he's done a great job, but they're on the way. At least it seems as if they are. A win could be huge, but a loss is going to bring out a lot more question marks. Bobby Houck's been a part of this game for a long time, dating back to his time as a graduate assistant on Don Reed's staff in the late 1980s. Here's Coach Houck on his thoughts on the game in general.
I'm excited for every game. You know, I'm excited on Monday every week. Really excited on Saturday, and certainly growing up around this, I'm like these guys. I grew up around this rivalry game. It's been fun to be a part of. I think the thing that stands out is that both sides of it are passionate about it. People care about the outcome, and that's what kind of makes it what it is. I mean, people care. I think people care here in Missoula and across Montana about how the Grizz play every weekend, but it's probably magnified a bit in this one.
And finally, Montana State leads the league in rushing for the 3rd year in a row. That's not including the spring season, which they did not participate in. But 2018, 2019, 2021, Montana State has had the top rushing offense in the league. Those numbers have been bolstered and accentuated when they play Montana. Montana now is 4th in the FCS in rush defense per game, rushing yards allowed per game. They're giving up in the low 70s. I haven't checked the official stats since last week, but in the low 70s in terms of yards per game. Montana State rushing for more than 230 yards per game. So it's strength versus strength. Absolutely. We'll have a story on that matchup. SkylineSportsMT.com a little later on tonight. But here's Coach Houck on MSU's run game against the Montana defensive front.
Yeah, I think, we watched it. I wouldn't put too much into that. I'm pretty sure that I think Afonso is as good a running back as there is in the league, and I think he's playing. I'll be shocked if he's not out there. Yeah, it really starts with their run game. Everything's built off of that. They're running the ball really well. It's going to be a tall order to slow that down, and everything starts off of that.
The follow-up question was about Lance McCutcheon, who is the leading receiver in the Big Sky Conference, despite playing on the number 1 rushing attack in the league. Montana State runs the ball early and often. They try to pound it right at you. But then when they get you off balance, they take a shot to McCutcheon. When there's a change of possession, they take a shot to McCutcheon. It seems, quote-unquote, predictable. It doesn't matter. When the dude's making plays like McCutcheon is, you're going to make a lot of money on the outside. And Lance McCutcheon is having one of the great senior years, particularly in comparison to the first 3 years of his career, which were adequate, fine. He was asked to play a different role. He did a lot of self-sacrifice, but now he's getting an opportunity, and he's balling. He's balling all the way out. He is leading the Big Sky in receiving yards, and he's second in catches, and that's been huge for Montana State's offense to make it a little bit less one-dimensional than it was for most of the time under Jeff Choate. A few more thoughts on this game and give you a look at what's going on tomorrow as well. Keep it right here. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires, introducing the new Backcountry AT2 for a quieter ride with improved performance in wet conditions. Because when it comes to keeping your family safe on the road this winter, the right tires help you feel prepared for anything.
Mom, hey Mom.
Well, almost anything. Plus, save up to $130 when you buy Quatrack tires with financing. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Why build a work history at a job when you can build a future in your own business? Westpac Wealth Partners is looking for entrepreneurial-minded people who are ready to take their future into their own hands. Nick Tabor and his associates provide clients with financial tools and tested solutions for navigating this complex financial climate. Westpac Wealth also has a work culture that has been recognized as a best workplace in Fortune magazine. If you're ready to start building a business in a long-term career, apply at westpacwealth.com. Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. Insurance products offered through Westpac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC. The rush of ripping a new pack of trading cards is hard to match. If you want to recapture the nostalgia of your youth, invest money in a worthwhile hobby, or find a healthy activity for your kids, come check out Zootown Sports Cards. Open from noon until 6, Tuesday through Friday, and on Saturday from 10 to 6, Missoula's premier sports trading card shop carries all the products you need to start or bolster your collection. Located at 102 South Avenue East, across from Doran Blazer Field, Zootown Sports Cards, where the rush of the rip is real. Missoula's premier sports trading card shop.
Fresh ingredients combined with home-style recipes are what we're serving on the Montana Club's Fall Comfort Food Menu. Warm up with the Osso Buco or hearty chicken fried chicken, or savor our hot in the skillet chicken pot pie. Of course, cool days call for yummy desserts. Cap things off with the club's creamy pumpkin skillet a la mode or skillet apple pie. Visit your Montana Club today. Full menu at montanaclub.com. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
So you're sad College Game Day isn't coming to Missoula? I got news for you. College Game Day has always been in Missoula. ESPN Missoula has been the proud host of our ESPN Twisted Tailgate all season long and for the last 5 years. So if you need someone to get all ready for Saturday's showdown with Montana State coming to the Garden City to take on Montana, swing on down and hang out with me, Colter Nuanez, and all my good buddies as we get you prepped for the 120th edition of the fiercest rivalry in college football. Our ESPN College Game Day comes to you live starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday from the Chamber of Commerce parking lot. We will have drinks courtesy of the Badlander. Pepsi Cola will be on hand serving some beverages. We'll also have swag from all our great sponsors, including RV Truck Sales, Ryan Holloway and Miller, Alpine Touch, and Twisted Tea. Don't be sad. Come hang out with us at our ESPN Missoula College Game Day Twisted Tailgate beginning at 10 a.m. from the Chamber of Commerce parking lot. We'll see you there.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Moonshine, get me higher than the grocery bill. Take my troubles to the high wall. Throw them in the river and get your fill. We've been sniffing that cocaine. Ain't nothing better when the wind cuts cold. Oh, it's a mighty hard living, but a damn good feeling to run these roads.
Thursday. Thanks so much for hanging out. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez coming to you from the Northwest Motorsports Studio. Go check out the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. You missed anything in today's show? Ton of great interviews, awesome guests. Sean Rainey, SWX Montana Television, swung by to talk all things rivalry game between Montana State and Montana, the 120th edition from Washington Grizzly Stadium on Saturday afternoon. We also heard from Rob Stanton, head coach of Billings West. The Golden Bears coming to Missoula Friday night. Missoula Sentinel, first state championship game here in the Garden City since 1994. Very much looking forward to that. We also talked a little NBA. That was fun. We're going to keep talking NBA. especially because we're going to dive headfirst into basketball season all the way here pretty soon. Note today, by the way, basketball-wise, Lady Grizz won at North Dakota, almost a 20-point victory. So a big win. Grand Forks, tough place to play. So Lady Grizz off to a pretty good start. Drilled Northwest Nazarene, kept it close against Gonzaga. Now a huge win at North Dakota. So good start for Brian Holzinger era. We also heard from Carolyn, who doesn't know sports, our Cat Grizz version of that. And then we also heard from Bobby Houck, Montana head coach. You can find everything in the podcast, proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications, the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel, and Sportsbet Montana. Tomorrow, I had the pleasure of catching up with Dane Oliver, head coach of Missoula Sentinel. Pretty cool that we started the Garden City Spotlight highlighting the AA coaches in Missoula way back in August. And I was talking with Dane about it. I think that this is it's like the 15th one we've done so far this season. So become a little bit of a routine. It's always great catching up with my guy. He's an awesome coach, man. He's doing a phenomenal job. I don't know if people really understand. I grew up in Missoula. We had a very talented group of guys when I was in high school, and we were good. You know, we went to the semifinals of the Class AA playoffs, but it was not in the realm of possibility, really, even, that Missoula, any of the three high schools at the AA level, was ever going to host the state championship game. That was not a thing that was like part of it. It was just like almost guaranteed that it was going to be in Billings or Great Falls. And there's been, everybody's had a piece of the pie the last 10 years, but finally for Missoula to get a piece of the pie, pretty cool. So they're from Dane Oliver. We've also got a couple mattress firms through the weeks for you. Our good friend Regime Seabrook will swing by. And we're also going to hear from Sam Herder from Hero Sports, get a look at the playoff picture at the FCS level. And we'll talk all things Bobcat Grizz. It's been a crazy, hectic week. I'm hadn't got a lot of sleep yet this week, but I'm having the greatest time. I hope you guys are having an awesome time too. We're trying to load you all the way up with all the guests we possibly can, both about the rivalry game and the high school state championships. And I can't really remember a better and more successful time for teams from the western part of the state all at the same time simultaneously. And it's pretty cool, pretty fun to be a part of. So hopefully you're enjoying it, and we'll be back at it tomorrow at 4 p.m. Also, if you want some more Bobcat Grizz coverage, myself, Andrew Houghton, Brooks Nuanez, Ty Greg, a whole bunch of other people contributed to a ton of content at SkylineSportsMT.com as well. So we appreciate all the exposure and all the feedback on that as well. 4 o'clock tomorrow, all things football. Get you set for the weekend. See you then. Nuanez now.
Here at Florence Coffee, we take pumpkin serious, offering a variety of pumpkin lattes,